America landed on the moon, built Silicon Valley, created the modern internet, but somehow, millions of people now struggle to focus for even a few minutes. Reading feels exhausting. Silence feels uncomfortable, and every day, people become emotionally certain about things they barely understand. Only 1 in 6 Americans could correctly locate Ukraine on a map during a major global conflict. And strangely, the people who knew the least were often the most confident. That's not normal. Something changed. Because this isn't just about politics, or intelligence, or social media. This is about attention itself. And over the last decade, America may have accidentally built the perfect machine for destroying human focus. Because once attention starts collapsing, everything else follows. Critical thinking, patience, memory, even reality itself. And maybe the scariest part is this: the system making people distracted is also making billions of dollars from it. A few years ago, researchers asked Americans a simple question: can you locate Ukraine on a map? Simple enough, except most people failed, badly. Some clicked near Greenland, others guessed Russia, a few landed somewhere in Africa. But the terrifying part wasn't geography, it was confidence. Researchers discovered something strange. The people who were most wrong were often the most confident in their opinions about the conflict. Think about that for a second. People were emotionally certain about military action, while barely understanding where the country even was. And honestly, that explains modern internet culture perfectly, because America developed a dangerous gap between confidence and understanding, and social media made that gap explode. Today, being loud matters more than being accurate. Fast answers beat thoughtful ones. Emotion beats nuance. Confidence looks intelligent online, even when it's disconnected from reality. And once algorithms realized this, everything changed. The modern internet doesn't reward intelligence, it rewards engagement. That's a massive difference. Because engagement comes from emotion, fear, anger, shock, outrage, and platforms learned something terrifying. The more emotionally reactive people become, the longer they stay online. So the system adapted. Slow thinkers lose attention, nuanced people sound weak, careful explanations get ignored, but emotional certainty, that spreads instantly. Just look around online. Everybody sounds absolutely convinced about everything: politics, health, economics, war, history. Nobody says, I might be wrong. And honestly, that's weird. Human beings are supposed to feel uncertain sometimes, but uncertainty performs terribly online. So the internet slowly trained millions of people to think emotionally instead of critically. And over time, modern culture became louder, faster, more reactive, and much less reflective. Then another problem appeared. Attention itself started collapsing. A University of Florida study found reading for pleasure has dropped nearly 40% over the last 2 decades. 40%. That's insane. Because reading trains the exact skills modern platforms destroy: patience, concentration, memory, deep focus, critical thinking. But apps like TikTok train the opposite: fast stimulation, quick dopamine, constant novelty, infinite scrolling. And your brain adapts to whatever environment it lives in. If your brain spends hours every day jumping between notifications, short videos, breaking news memes, outrage posts, dopamine hits, eventually, deep focus starts feeling uncomfortable. Scientists actually have a term for this: attention fragmentation. Your brain becomes addicted to interruption. And once that happens, everything changes. Books feel slow, conversations feel long, thinking deeply feels exhausting. Even boredom disappears, and boredom used to matter, because boredom forced people to think. Now silence lasts maybe 8 seconds before somebody grabs their phone, which creates another strange paradox. People know more information than any generation before them, but understand less of it deeply. America has infinite information, but collapsing comprehension, and schools weren't ready for any of this. This next part honestly shocked me. According to national education data, only around 20% of American 8th graders are proficient in math. Only around 27% read at grade level. That means most students are below standard, not average, below. And in some schools, almost nobody meets reading or math expectations at all. Now obviously, kids didn't suddenly become less intelligent. Something else changed. Schools are now competing against devices engineered by billion-dollar companies whose entire business model is capturing attention. Imagine trying to teach algebra while a student's brain is being chemically rewarded every few seconds by social media. That's the real competition now. Not textbooks, not teachers, algorithms. And the effects don't stop after graduation. Even college students struggle with basic civics questions. Large numbers couldn't explain how long senators serve, which branch declares war, basic constitutional facts, and that becomes dangerous. Because when people stop understanding how systems work, they become easier to manipulate emotionally, which leads directly into America's next crisis: Conspiracy culture. Here's something most people don't realize. Conspiracy theories aren't just misinformation, they're emotional products. They make people feel smart, important, awake, part of a hidden group, and emotionally powerful content spreads fast online, much faster than boring truth. That's why millions of Americans now believe elections are secretly manipulated, hidden elites control everything, moon landings were fake, science institutions are lying. Now, to be fair, governments and corporations have lied before. That's real. But social media supercharged distrust into something much bigger. Because algorithms don't care whether information is true, they care whether it keeps you watching. And outrage performs incredibly well. Fear performs incredibly well. Tribalism performs incredibly well. So over time, America became psychologically flooded with emotional information, and when people are emotionally overloaded, critical thinking gets weaker. That's not politics, that's neuroscience. But there's an even darker layer to all of this, because maybe this isn't happening accidentally. Maybe distraction became one of the most profitable industries on Earth. Think about modern life for a second. Every company wants your attention. Netflix, TikTok, Instagram, podcasts, games, streaming, news apps, ads. Everything is competing for your brain because attention became the most valuable resource in the modern economy. Not oil, not gold, human attention. And the companies that capture attention best make billions. But there's a problem. The easiest way to capture attention isn't intelligence, it's emotion. That's why modern media constantly pushes outrage, fear, urgency, conflict, stimulation, because calm thinking doesn't go viral. Emotional reaction does. And after years inside this environment, millions of people slowly started changing psychologically. Attention spans shrank, patience weakened, focus disappeared, people became mentally overwhelmed. And honestly, maybe human brains were never designed for this much stimulation. Maybe that's the real story here. Not that Americans suddenly became stupid, but that modern life learned how to overpower human attention itself. Because think about it, the same country that built the internet, split the atom, landed on the moon, created world-changing technology, is now struggling with misinformation, collapsing focus, emotional polarization, conspiracy addiction, shallow thinking. That's not a coincidence. It's the side effect of an environment optimized for stimulation instead of wisdom. And maybe that's why so many people feel mentally exhausted now. Not because they're weak, not because they're stupid, but because they're trying to think clearly inside a system specifically designed to interrupt thinking. And maybe the scariest part is this: if attention can be controlled, then thought can be influenced too. Which means the real battle in modern America isn't political, it isn't cultural, it's psychological. Because whoever controls attention slowly controls how society thinks. And right now, everybody is fighting to own yours. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe for more videos about hidden truths, psychology, technology, society, and the future of the modern world. Because the world is changing faster than most people realize, and understanding it may become more important than ever.